Let me show you exactly where most small businesses lose money, and it has got nothing to do with ads, with algorithms, or with reach. Most small businesses lose money after someone has showed interest. I know it sounds very strange, but as a matter of fact, it's true. It is very true that as soon as someone else shows interest, the strange thing that happens is that somehow they lose them. How it happens is exactly what we're going to be discussing in this particular video and show you exactly what you need to do, the next steps that you must be taking in order to rectify this. Welcome once again. This is Phiri Consulting, where we help entrepreneurs like you build scalable, profitable, as well as fundable businesses. If you're new here, please help us by subscribing to the channel. Also, like and share the videos with all people in your community. So the most astonishing truth, and I know that this you can relate this because it tracks with you. A lot of small business owners, usually when there are growth issues or when they're facing growth problems, they always try to pin it down to marketing. That's the first place that they look. They think that any growth problem is a marketing problem. So this is exactly what they do over and over. This cycle continues and continues. They buy more ads, they produce more content, they post a little bit more, and in doing so, still they find themselves not growing. Sometimes it will make them a little bit more busy, and people will always confuse being busy to growing. So at the end of the day, still there is a leakage of revenue and the underlying problems are not solved. So then where are they losing money? So they lose money not because they do not know how to handle this or that. Maybe their accounting systems are broken or something like that. But that's not the case. Now, in most cases, they lose money because there's a breakdown in follow ups, in consistency, as well as in handovers. So you find that there is no specific system in place that handles exactly what needs to be done when there's a follow up that must be completed, or when there is an handover from one step of the process to another, or even when we get to situations where they find themselves being inconsistent in their efforts. So this then becomes a problem. What happens is that a prospect shows the interest, and then somehow, and then just like that, it's quiet. Nothing is carried over. Eh, Always, then it means that there are no systems. It also means that there is no particular designed path that must be followed to take that particular prospect from one step to the next, so that there is a clear cut path that is made to make sure that the prospect or the client can easily follow, end up getting to the point whereby you have closed them, you're converting them, and then delivering. So this is what we have found with most of the entrepreneurs that come through to our coaching programs. The problem is not really generating leads because of the content that they're putting out there on all these social platforms. There is always interest. Then what they do not know how to handle is to close the gaps that are there from when the lead shows interest to where they are supposed to deliver. So, because of these gaps, then it is difficult for them to find out exactly if there is a leak or there isn't. And the biggest problem then is that such leakages or such gaps do not really appear on your income statement or on your balance sheet. You won't see them on your bank account or on your financial statement. But behind the scenes, this is happening. Sometimes there is this a picture as if things are going well. Like I said earlier, because people are so busy doing stuff, then it means that uh, unto them, they think that they're doing something and their business is growing. But oftentimes, this is not the case. So, what will basically happen, as I said, is that the interest will be there. the prospect will show interest. You're generating leads. A very healthy amount of leads will always come in, but then somehow it stops. So we want to look at exactly where these gaps are. Now, there are gaps between when the request is shown, maybe there's an inquiry, between an inquiry and the response, there is a gap there. Now, sometimes it takes too long for entrepreneurs, for SMEs to get back to the people who are showing interest. So a gap is created between the inquiry and the response. Okay, and then the second gap then happens between the response and the follow-up. The initial response sometimes might be good, but there is now a gap between the follow-up. For instance, someone shows interest, and then you say to them, I'll get back to you, or you want to send them something. You are meant to send them something. It could be a document, it could be a quote, it could be an invoice. But then a meeting popped up, and then you get busy being a solopreneur or having a very small team. Now, because you are busy doing this and that, according to you, you feel like you are really at the top of things. But that level of being busy means that there are a lot of things that will go unnoticed because you are depending on memory, you are depending on your manual effort, you are depending on yourself to do all these things. Now, because you don't want to relinquish that particular effort to systems, then the gaps will now begin to appear between your response and your follow-up. But sometimes then, if you go to another level, then there is a gap between the follow-up and the payment. Maybe invoices are not sent on time. Maybe there is no follow-up to chase the payments or to record whether this one or the other one is paid or has not paid. Then another gap appears again. Because remember, you need all this revenue, you need this income to grow your business. Without a healthy revenue flowing in or without your clients paying on time, then another gap is created. Again, the other level of gaps could be once they've paid, what happens? Is there a gap? What is the time span between what you promise and when you actually do the delivery of a particular task or a particular service for your clients? So again, another gap will begin to appear between the payment and the delivery. It could be a delivery of a tangible product, or it could be you performing a particular task. Usually there is a gap again that appears right there. So if you are depending then on one, your memory, which means that you need to remember to do something, then there's a problem. If you're depending on motivation, if there has to be motivation, someone needs to speak to you or someone needs to speak to someone to encourage them to do a particular task, then it also means that there is a leakage. Again, if your performance or the performance of your business depends on you doing everything manually, there is definitely a leakage there to your revenue. And this is exactly what needs to be fixed. So the starting point here is to go through what I call the revenue leak and systems audit. Now, this has been designed to help entrepreneurs like you build systems that will work or that will first and foremost identify if there are any revenue leaks in your particular business. But trust me, if there is no system or there is no process in place that is done the same every time, that creates consistency in your performance, that ensures that every time the level of performance or the way things are done, your SOPs create the same value and the same output all the time. If this is not in place, then you're definitely leaking. So the revenue leak and systems audit is there to identify such gaps, to identify such leakages, and then create a map that you can use using the current a production system or the current marketing or whatever systems you have in place. What we're advocating here is not a complete overhaul of your business, This is the mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs are making, because in introducing automation or in introducing AI to their businesses, they think that you have to overturn everything and start afresh. The best place to start is always what is already there in place, what is working, and then identifying what is not working, and then putting systems or automations in place to make sure that those mundane tasks that are repetitive can be done by your automations or by your AI. So, in order to access this audit, this revenue leak and systems audit, I've left a link in the description below. Please go to that particular link and then you will find the revenue leak and systems audit. Now, we're seeing and already hearing a lot of good reviews about it. Make sure that when you go through it, find out exactly what it's all about. If you need additional information, we will help you get or access that particular information. And let me say this, if this video made you uncomfortable, and if it made you start thinking about all the rough things that could be happening in your business, then it means that this is the right place for you. You need to start with the revenue leak and systems audit. You'll find it again in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, early preparation is always equals to excellent results. This is a Phiri Consulting. Please subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. We'll see you in the next video. Bye.